Hey there and welcome back to XCOM 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Last time we left off, after our very first experience of the War of the Chosen version of the Avenger defense mission, the assassin brought a big bad gun to take out our home base, but unfortunately we took out the gun and the assassin first, and we grabbed ourselves a bunch of promotions in the process. In terms of research, construction and world map progress, however, we did not advance too far, so let's see what we can achieve today as we immediately start scanning. At the moment, we are still investigating a weapons dealer rumor, which in a few days will reward us with alien alloys and delirium crystals.
Resistance Communications Facility now operational.
Alright, and there we are, the first construction project of the episode is completed. We have now built ourselves a second Resistance Comms facility, which means our contact capacity has been increased by just one for the moment, but of course with upgrades and engineers we can increase that much further. For the time being, though, we are not going to do that. Instead, we'll put Ophelia Morningstar on excavation duty as well, which now means that both construction of the Shadow Chamber as well as clearing our last building space will be finished within the next month. And with the extra capacity we have, we could now also make contact with another region, but let's take things one step at a time and finish scanning the rumor first.
Against the Elders, we find nothing but success.
Alright, and with that, another covert action concludes, this one just giving us a superior expanded magazine, as well as the much more important promotion for Sharpshooter Alyssa West. And we'll actually have to take care of that promotion first before we assign the next covert operation, as she will have to participate in that one too, so she better be as powerful as she can be.
Commander, we should make use of the ring facility and deploy our idle soldiers on a covert action with the Resistance.
Now, as usual, for the promotion to Major, we once again have two choices, and I have to say they are both a bit underwhelming. Steady Hands would give Sapphire West here a bonus to aim and crit chance if she doesn't move, which in theory sounds very useful for a long-range sharpshooter, but in practice I have found that this ability can sometimes be a bit weird about when it applies and when it doesn't. Nonetheless, in my opinion, it is still the better choice than aim, which actually requires us to spend an action on hunkering down. It does synergize somewhat well with Death from Above, but in my opinion it is definitely better suited for a gunslinger build or a long-range sharpshooter with the deep cover bonus ability. So Steady Hands it is, but we are not done with Miss West just yet. The covert operation together with Ranger Warhawk has also increased both of their cohesion, and so we are now able to form yet another soldier bond, and considering that these two actually get a fair amount of time in the field, I'd say it's high time that they benefit from the bonuses that come with a bond.
Maybe we need to start selling calendars.
As always, we'll snap a quick photo, this one a bit more on the dramatic side, and with that we're done here, time to select our next covert action. And, well, I think this one comes as no surprise. Yes, it is time to finally put an end to the Hunter. We even spent some intel to cut the operation time here in half, so let's send out a trio of soldiers to infiltrate the Chosen Stronghold. And once again, we are sending out bondmates Sapphire and Warhawk. The mobility bonus for our sharpshooter, definitely not the most useful thing, but I guess we'll take it. Unfortunately, all other soldiers at the rank of Major or above are currently otherwise occupied. Skirmisher Mox accompanies the two to negate the risk of anyone getting injured, and with that, let's send them off. In 8 days, we might then just be able to take out the first of the three chosen for good.
We will work hand in hand with our new allies.
So then, let's continue scanning. We only have a few more days left on the weapons dealer rumor, and we'll make sure not to start any unnecessary missions until the covert operation is done. That is, of course, unless the game forces us to accept one, which might just happen, as we have not yet completed this month's Guerilla Ops mission. And speak of the devil, there it is. We once again have 3 missions to choose from, so let's see which one it's going to be. We start off in Eastern Europe, where we could counter the Collector's Dark event. Not really that much of a priority in my opinion, and the mission is also rated very difficult. The supplies would be a moderately useful reward. The most interesting thing about this one is probably the sitrep, as we might be able to get a few extra valuables out of this one by interacting with the civilians present on the map. In West Asia then, we could counter the Counterattack Dark event, which strikes me as a bit more threatening. The mission also marked as only difficult, and we could get another Grenadier out of it, and even at this point in the game you can never have enough personnel. Finally then, another very difficult mission in South Africa. However, I think this one in particular can be safely ignored. Very soon, the Loyalty Among Thieves Dark event will no longer benefit the Hunter in any way whatsoever, and while we could of course always use intel, at the moment I think we have plenty. So I think it is indeed going to be West Asia, assassin-controlled territory, but we already met her last time, so she's not going to show up, which should make this mission a bit easier.
Setting course for Sector 15, West Asia.
The squad for this mission then, not our highest ranking soldiers, those are mostly still recovering or busy on covert ops or forming bonds. Nonetheless, we have a capable team on our hands here, with Grenadier Typhoon as the highest ranking soldier and Reaper Sleeper to scout ahead, so let's see what they can do as they try to destroy an alien relay.
Sky Ranger deployed.
In position to drop.
Shen came across an odd series of transmissions coming out of this region, and we've narrowed it down to a hidden alien communications relay transmitting to the Advent network. We can't pass up any opportunities to disrupt their progress on the latest operation, so we're moving in to take out that relay. Neutralize any hostile contacts near the site, lock it down, and destroy the target. Menace 1-5, the communications relay is up ahead. Move in and destroy the target.
We're hidden. Let's keep it that way.
Alright, so we begin things in concealment, as usual on these missions. We also have a timer of only 7 turns until the alien relay needs to be destroyed. However, as you can see, it is fairly close by. Now, normally you would start scouting with the Reaper in this situation, however, she is currently a bit boxed in by the rest of our squad, so instead we are sending Sharpshooter Radonis out first, and with him not discovering anything just yet, we'll take a fairly aggressive approach here, using the Spider Suit's grappling hook to immediately make it about halfway towards the objective. He then ends his turn in cover and we still don't detect anything, a bit surprising for a map that seems rather small, but I guess we'll take it. Specialist Zucchini then also does detect the first pod of aliens, 2 Spectres and another heavily armored Andromedon, but you may have noticed it too, there are plenty of vehicles around, so depending on if and how they move, that might give us a small advantage. For the rest of this turn, meanwhile, we'll use the luxury of concealment to dash up as far as we can, and then we lie in wait and see what the aliens do on theirs. Alright, you can definitely hear the Spectres moving in the background, and a few seconds later we can also see some more. This time a heavy mech accompanied by 2 Advent troopers wanders in.
Enemy patrol on the move.
And all of a sudden the map is no longer all that empty. The Andromedon pod has seemingly also moved out of range, although Reaper Sleeper is quick to re-establish line of sight here. And, well, as you can see, and as I had hoped for, they are standing right next to a vehicle. So let's kick things off with the always appreciated remote start.
So easily set aflame.
Now, importantly, this does not break concealment, and I think I want to keep it that way. We now have the excellent opportunity to put our entire squad on high ground, and that is something you generally do not want to waste. So let's dash them up onto the roof one after another, and then we end our turn with Radonis on Overwatch just in case.
Got it covered.
The Andromedon then starts moving and actually couldn't do so in a more convenient way. In the end, all 3 enemies come together, huddled closely right next to the truck here, an absolutely lovely position. What is less lovely is the appearance of a Codex in the Muton. As far as I'm aware, a difficult mission only has 4 pods of enemies, and as of this moment 3 of them are standing right in front of us, so this could get interesting. Crucially, however, those who would actually get revealed if we attack now only have line of sight with the Andromedon pod. Only Helleboris and Celica can actually spot the other 2 groups, and they will remain hidden even if the rest of our squad attacks. That rest of the squad, meanwhile, has already gone on Overwatch, ready to strike the Andromedon as it reacts to Typhoon's grenade here.
Target's cleared. We're visible here.
Okay, so even with plasma grenades, the truck does not explode immediately, but the 2 Spectres go down nonetheless. However, with the truck ready to explode on the next turn, I had not expected the Andromedon to stay put. This does in fact now throw a bit of a wrench in our plans, as half of our squad can no longer take any actions. Well, in that case, I suppose we might as well prepare for the next turn. Let's send our Reaper a bit closer to the other two groups.
You can never escape my sight.
And then we just wait for the Andromedon to start moving. Considering the fact that we have the high ground and it only has 10 hit points left, I think we should be able to take it out before it can strike.
Efficiency is my specialty.
Alright, and the truck blows up as well for good measure, leaving the Andromedon shell standing with only 15 hit points, and those will quickly be reduced to 0, as we first send in Typhoon to lay down a guaranteed shot to also activate holo-targeting. Which then benefits Sharpshooter Radonis and his Deadeye ability. Despite a 36% aim penalty, the shot here is still guaranteed to hit, and with that to kill.
X-ray neutralized.
Moving on then, it's time to target the mech and the troopers. Seneca's Claymore is the weapon of choice for this one.
It requires patience. I've located the objective, Commander.
Commander, we have a positive ID.
Now this also officially gives us line of sight towards the relay, which only has 14 hit points, so it shouldn't take more than 2 or 3 shots to destroy it. Our enemies meanwhile scatter, and you might now rightfully think that this was an awfully risky move. And in fact it gets even riskier, as we now send in and reveal Helleboris to take out the trooper all the way in the back.
Sie haben mich gesehen. Das sieht interessant aus.
Now he gets the kill, and conveniently enough this drops some loot and he's standing right on top of it, so we can recover 2 stocks, 1 regular and a superior one, as well as our very first perception PCS, an aim bonus that would benefit pretty much everyone.
Hier ist es also.
Now unfortunately this move has also just activated Codex and Muton, which again is really not what you would normally want to do with your turn about halfway over already. Don't worry though, we have a plan for this, so for the moment we can proceed as usual, with our Spark Julian taking a 94% against the mech.
Your poor habits must be wearing off on me.
Unfortunately though he misses and only deals 3 points of stock damage, but that's okay, because now we get to the backup plan. First things first, just because he is in a somewhat precarious position, let's put 8 protocol on Helleboris, and then we can send Zucchini's Gremlin over to hack one of the Advent watchtowers. Now, I already checked this beforehand, which is why I know what we're going to see here. A guaranteed distraction reward, which will refund all action points already spent on this turn. In other words, we are now basically getting a second turn for free, so that is why we took a few risks on this one. And especially in combination with the mission timer, this reward is absolutely invaluable. Everyone in our squad now gets to act again, and the timer remains at 4 turns. So, let's get to it. First things first, let's send out our Spark and put Julian on overdrive. This now gives him 2 more actions, the first of which we'll use on a rocket, which we can thankfully angle in such a way that it hits both the Muton as well as the truck that the trooper is standing on. This removes the Muton's armor and eliminates the trooper, but we're not done yet. Julian still has a shot to take, and because this is the first one, it does not suffer the aim penalty, so let's see if he can make it count.
Strange.
Sadly, he once again misses and we only deal stock damage, so we'll get back to the Muton in just a moment. For now, let's use the fact that Zucchini is sporting blue screen rounds to take out the mech. Since the Muton then only has 4 hit points left, Reaper Sleeper has a guaranteed stealth kill against it. And that leaves only the Codex with its cloning ability, something I would rather not trigger at this point, so let's send Helleboris into cover and deploy the Mimic Beacon. The chance of us one-shot killing the Codex at this point are rather slim, not to mention that moving Helleboris up too far might also reveal more enemies. Grenadier and Sharpshooter meanwhile finish the turn on Overwatch, although that will of course only trigger if the Codex decides not to teleport, which as you can see here it unsurprisingly does. Still, it does so to attack the Mimic Beacon and not our squad, and so we survive another turn without taking damage.
The alien transmission is still active and we're running out of time. Get to the relay and take it out, ASAP.
Bradford then getting a bit uneasy since there's only 3 turns left on the timer, but again we only have 14 hit points to deal with, and I think that should not be cause for too much concern. Regarding the Codex then, we'll do what has worked best so far, send in our Ranger and hope for the critical hit. And, well, we do get the crit, although this time around it only deals 12 points of damage, which still allows the Codex to teleport, although it does not get to clone itself. So, at this point then, we are moving our Reaper towards the relay.
No place for you to go now. There's an alien patrol nearby.
And in doing so, also reveal enemy group number 4, Andromedon, heavy mech and a trooper, quite a lot of hit points on this one, but also standing conveniently close to a gas station. As we move up Typhoon then, I also just noticed that apparently we have reinforcements coming in. I honestly completely overlooked when the red beacon was popped down, so I guess we better get ready. First of all though, let's take out the Codex, and once again Julian's stock will prove useful here. Hit or miss, the kill is guaranteed.
Efficiency is my specialty.
The rest of our squad then goes on Overwatch. Let's see what we have coming in.
Scanning. Guardia.
Alright, mech, lancer and trooper. Let's see if we can't reduce the numbers a bit.
I know where you are.
Fantastic. So the trooper goes down, the mech goes on Overwatch and the lancer moves a bit closer. I think we should be able to deal with that.
Find you.
Unfortunately then, the other group of enemies moves a bit further away from the cars and the gas station, so a remote start ambush might no longer be possible. I guess we'll have to see about that. For now though, let's go to work on the enemies that we are already engaged with, starting by removing the mech's armor and Overwatch with our Grenadier Typhoon. This means we can now move, and I would like to do so to try and skull mine the Lancer. If we succeed with the fixed 70% hit chance, then it's an instant kill. Unfortunately though, Zucchini does not hit and only deals 2 meager points of damage. On the bright side, he can still use an action now, which we will of course use to shoot at the mech. Against the Lancer then, we'll go for the almost guaranteed 9 points of damage with Julian's melee attack. And once again, he does not succeed, although this time to no fault of his own. Either way, the Lancer dodges and remains standing with 10 hit points. What's even worse is that with Julian standing right next to them, they now actually benefit from the bulwark giving them full cover, which means all of a sudden Heliboris' shot here is no longer quite as likely to succeed. Against all odds though, he does deliver the critical, and so we can use Celica to quickly mop up the mech. While Sharpshooter Radonis can move into range to take a shot at the relay on the next turn.
The transmission signal is fading. They've almost completed the transfer. This is your last chance to take out that relay.
And yes indeed, we only have this turn left to destroy the relay, but don't worry, we won't need more than 2 shots to do it. As long as they can see it, our soldiers are guaranteed to hit. And that means, after Typhoon delivers 6 points of damage here, that we can completely disregard the aim penalty on Radonis' Deadeye ability. Instead, we can use it as a completely free damage increase.
Menace 1-5, we've confirmed destruction of the relay. The alien transmission is down. Eliminate any remaining hostiles and move to evac.
And there we go, that's the relay taken out. Now only the last group of enemies needs to be defeated. At this point though, we are in no rush, so just in case they start moving, let's go back to the high ground, and we'll spend the turn on Overwatch and see if they come any closer.
My watch begins.
Is a more difficult task available?
Right, so looks like they do not, which means it's up to us to engage. As our Reaper moves closer, we can then sadly also confirm that it is no longer possible to hit any of them with remote start. So let's move everyone closer. At this point, I think we can really let time work in our favor. There is no need to attack unless we are absolutely sure.
My turn on watch.
Unsurprisingly then, the enemy turn passes by and our 3 adversaries remain exactly where they are, although we are not yet in any position to strike either, but let's get ready to do so on the next turn.
I won't let them pass.
On it! Overwatch engaged! Poniéndome en guardia!
Right, still nothing, and we'll actually spend one more turn just shuffling around here. By moving our Reaper, we get slightly closer for squad side, which might make some sense for our sharpshooter, who can now also maneuver himself into a flanking position against the trooper, while the rest of the squad stays mostly where they are, gets in a few reloads, and we end another turn on Overwatch.
Poniéndome en guardia!
Right then, as expected, our enemies don't move, that means we can get to it. We will open things up with Rhodonis' Deadeye, which actually has a fairly good chance of taking out the trooper in one shot.
X-ray neutralized!
Lovely, trooper down, but there are still plenty of hit points to deal with. We can, however, potentially make things a lot easier for us with Specialist Zucchini, who will, first of all, just as a safety measure, put 8 protocol on our Spark. And following that, we use Haywire protocol against the heavy mech.
Adelante con el control!
As you can see, we have a 79% chance to shut it down, and we'll take that. This will buy us all the time we need to hopefully stay safe, and there really is no reason to risk going for the control. And thankfully we succeed, which means the mech will now be shut down for 2 turns, and so let's focus all of our attention on the Andromedon.
Estoy dentro!
And conveniently enough, at this point we can actually employ remote start, as our enemy has simply sought the wrong place to take cover.
Always observe your surroundings.
Stand next to this fire!
Now unfortunately this only shreds 1 point of armor, so we'll have to do a bit more work there. We also need to keep in mind that the car down here will now explode on the next turn as well, but let's take things one step at a time. Up next, let's move in Typhoon for the guaranteed hit to take care of the rest of the armor. And he even lands a critical hit, bringing the Andromedon down to only 7 hit points. So up next, let's move our Spark in and out of the blast radius. Then we can once again activate Overdrive and follow that up with a shot that is guaranteed to hit, and unless we are very unlucky, will also take care of the Andromedon for now. Beautiful, 7 points of damage, that is just what we needed, and now we only have the shell left to deal with. Let's go for the melee strike again, which is not guaranteed to hit, but will deal a guaranteed 9 points of damage if it does. And at this point, the remaining 12 hit points should be manageable for our ranger. Let's get close with Helleboris here and first use the free axe throw. Which unfortunately only does minimum damage, but unless we deal minimum damage again with the follow-up shot, we should be in the clear. Right, so this is unfortunate. Of course, there was a chance of this happening, which is why we put 8 protocol on Julian. Let's see if that's enough to dodge what comes next.
Requesting kill order on the one shooting me!
Okay, so thankfully Julian evades the melee attack and keeps our hopes of getting a flawless mission alive, and at this point we should in fact have no trouble finishing this. So let's take care of the max armor with Typhoon first, who also once again puts down holo-targeting. Then we can deal a good amount of guaranteed damage with Zucchini's combat protocol. Reaper Sleeper can finish off the Andromedon. And this time there is no chance that Helleboris does not get the kill on the mech.
Status confirmed. All hostiles are down and the area is secure. Status confirmed. Mission accomplished.
And so there we are. Operation Frostbreaker has been flawlessly completed. We had 1 or 2 small hiccups here and there, but overall, thanks to a small map and the abundance of explodable vehicles, it wasn't too challenging.
All Advent gene therapy clinics will be closed tomorrow for equipment upgrades. Initial reports that the suspension of services were the result of dissident activity have been dismissed as radical propaganda.
As long as there's even one Reaper left standing, you can bet they're still in the fight. Finger on the trigger.
So here we are, back home, no injuries and sadly also no promotions, so we can immediately jump ahead to see what we recovered. And I think the most valuable piece of loot might actually be that advanced perception PCS. Slap that on a high-level sharpshooter and they are one step closer to suddenly being able to hit every single shot. And in that sense, it might just be a fitting reward for Ms. West once she comes back from her covert operation.
Another impressive effort, Commander. My expectations were high, and yet you have exceeded them.
So yes indeed, we have countered the counterattack dark event. There are definitely ways to deal with that, but still it would have been annoying. And on top of that, we have acquired ourselves another captain level grenadier, Captain J. Lind, and we'll actually take a closer look at them right away now. After all, we now have a few abilities to hand out. Now in this case we are following what I consider to be the optimal path for a grenadier. It is basically how we have built up all of them so far, with shredder, suppression, holo-targeting and volatile mix, and in just a second we'll also grab heavy ordnance from the training center. Before we do though, a quick look at Jay's biography, which is in fact short and to the point, just a QT ready to drop an easy on the ETs. So Jay QT Lind, welcome to the team. One quick note then to James L., the lovely patron supporter and creator of this character. If you find yourself in the comments of this video, you might just want to let me know if your last name is pronounced Lind or Linde. I assume it's the former, but this is where my German roots are shining through, so it would be much appreciated if you could quickly clear that up. As promised then, with 12 of QT's 20 AP, we'll grab heavy ordnance too. And I have to say, the bonus skills are looking mighty interesting too. Rapid Fire, Untouchable and Guardian are all fairly good in my opinion. Let me know if you think there's anything that QT here needs immediately, otherwise we'll continue purchasing once the AP have filled up again. And with that, I think we have made it to the end of today's episode. Slightly shorter than the last few, but I'm certainly not complaining. And as always, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. Also, if you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon for a chance to get your name into the series as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.